Sawadee.
Sawadee.
This week we're going to put our techniques together and work on various combinations. And one of the things we're really going to be focusing on is flow. So flow is how you move from one technique to another in a sequence, in a combination. So for good flow, you're going to be using the natural movements of your body. So your body naturally moves one side to the other. You'll use this to create flow from right and left techniques. Also going to be using flow in terms of gaining distance, retreating, and varying your distance between your opponent. That's also an important aspect of managing your flow, as well as the movements up and down. So strikes to the head, strikes to the body, and so on. You need to be able to flow at a variety of heights. So flow involves the changeover between techniques, so that your techniques are no longer individual strikes on their own, but are part of a flowing combination. For example, with your basic jab-cross sequence, your flow is not jab-cross. You don't finish your jab before you start your cross. One naturally flows into the other. So it's jab. As that jab comes back, your cross is already coming out. If you're adding on to that with a hook, as that cross comes back, you're already into your hook. So during your exercises this week, we want you to think about how one technique is moving into another.
There are a few drills that we can practice to help our bodies get used to flowing from one technique to another. One of these examples is opening our front foot out at 45 degrees, which helps a lot with bringing the power through in the hips with our roundhouse kick, with our back knee, or even with our back push kick. And we can set it up as we jab, and in that way we blind our opponent and they can't see us setting up our roundhouse kick or our knee or our push kick. Another example would be using the technique itself to cover ground and get closer to your opponent. For example, our back push kick and stepping forward in the opposite stance, and then we closer to our opponent and we can deliver other weapons in the opposite stance, but nonetheless, if we want to be fighters, we should be training from both stances. Another example of it would be using our front techniques. That would be our jab. As we jab, we move closer to our opponent, or as we push kick with our front leg, we move closer to our opponent as well as we leap forward, or we just fake a front push kick and leap ourselves forward, and then we're closer to our opponent and we can deliver other weapons.
Your techniques can be put together for various purposes. So you need to think in your sequence about what techniques are your power techniques, what techniques are you using to set up for a power technique. For example, in a basic sequence again, such as a jab, cross, roundhouse, you're sacrificing power in your cross punch in order to deliver a more powerful roundhouse. So you're in one hip movement coming through, you're delivering both your cross punch and your roundhouse. So not all sequences need to flow from one side to the other. You can have multiple strikes coming from one side, as long as you're making use of the flow of your body and the momentum that you generate from moving from one side to another. So for example, if you did jab, cross, rear hook, you're still using that energy coming back from your cross to chamber and drive energy for your hook punch. So jab, cross, bring your energy in, store up that energy in your hip to come through for a powerful hook. Again, even though it's not left, right, you're flowing nicely with your energy, using that energy with a purpose. Your exercises this week are again in sets. You have 4 sets of 3 exercises. In each set, your exercises are techniques building on each other into combinations. Your first set starts with a jab, cross, lead, hook. From there, in the second exercise, you're going to add a rear uppercut, and finally, in the last exercise of the set, you add on a lead horizontal elbow.
Okay guys, for our second set, we're going to start with a jab cross or mat drong in Thai, followed by a roundhouse kick. Now you can start adding on the stepping or setting up the roundhouse kick as you jab. So mat drong, te. For the second round, we're going to add a straight knee or cow drong in Thai. And for our last round, we're going to add a lead hook at the end of it, or matawat in Thai.
The two options here are if you step forward after your cow drong, you are going to use your lead hook from the same side. However, if you bring your knee back after your cow drong, you're going to now be using your lead hook will be the other hand. So use the momentum of bringing that knee back to swing your body through from the other side with that lead hook. First exercise in this set is a lead tip, then a lead roundhouse with the interchange, followed by a cross punch. So as your roundhouse comes back and your foot touches the floor, you're ready to push forward with a power cross punch from the other side. Adding on to this sequence, you bring in a lead hook. So as your cross punch retreats, you use that momentum to swing your body through for that lead hook. And finally, adding on and following up with a power rear hook.
Hey guys, for fourth set, we're starting with a straight push kick or tip drong in Thai, followed by a jab cross or mat drong in Thai. We can, if we feel comfortable with our balance, use a push kick to move closer to our opponent. For the round Following that, we're going to add a roundhouse kick or te in Thai. We can set it up by putting our foot down at 45 degrees as we put it on from our push kick. And in that way, we're already aligning our hips to bring the power through with that roundhouse kick. And for our last round, we're only going to add a second roundhouse kick. Can be from the same leg or from the other leg.